The ballroom was silent except for her voice. Amelia Brooks stood at the podium, award in hand, and delivered the closing line of her keynote with the kind of confidence that only came from surviving the fall and climbing back up. "So when they ask you how you made it," she said, her voice steady and clear, "tell them the truth. You stopped waiting for permission." The room erupted in applause. She smiled, gracious, composed, every inch the woman who belonged here, and let her gaze sweep across the crowd. Investors, CEOs, people who used to look past her. Not anymore. She was about to step down when she saw him. In the back of the room, half hidden in shadow, stood Baek Seo-jin. 10 years collapsed into a single second. He was taller now, sharper, impossibly still in a room full of movement, and beside him stood a woman who fit seamlessly into his world. Elegant, polished, her hand resting comfortably on his arm like she'd been born to stand there. So that's her. Amelia's fingers tightened on the podium, but her smile never wavered. Seo-jin's chest constricted the moment their eyes met. God. She looked untouchable, poised, powerful, like she'd built an empire just to prove she didn't need him. And maybe she had. The woman beside him, Yura, leaned in, whispering something he didn't hear, because all he could see was Amelia, the woman he loved, the woman he destroyed, standing on that stage like he'd never shattered her heart at all. His fingers curled tighter around his glass. One truth hit him, sharp and unforgiving. I found her again, and I might lose her forever. Amelia forced herself to breathe, in, out, steady. She'd practiced this moment 1,000 times in her head, what she'd say, how she'd stand, the exact expression she'd wear if she ever saw him again. But she hadn't prepared for this, for the way her body remembered him before her mind could catch up, for the flood of memories, late nights in library study rooms, stolen kisses in empty hallways, the sound of his voice when he said her name like it was the only word that mattered, and then the memory that burned through all the others, the day he chose his family over her. She broke eye contact first, not because she was afraid, but because loving him once had nearly destroyed her. And this time, she wouldn't be the one left behind. Amelia stepped down from the stage as conversation swelled around her, her name already rippling through the crowd. An investor approached immediately, effusive and eager. She smiled, shook hands, laughed at the right moments, all while feeling Seo-jin's gaze burning into her from across the room. Let him watch. Let him see exactly what he gave up. She was no longer the scholarship student who believed love could conquer anything. She was Amelia Brooks, self-made, untouchable, and done waiting for men who only loved her when it was convenient. Seo-jin's knuckles whitened around his, glass before he handed it off without looking. "I need to," he started. Yura's hand tightened on his arm, subtle, possessive. "Darling," she said softly, her smile never faltering. "We should say hello to the Kims. They've been waiting." He hesitated, just for a second, but Yura felt it. Her eyes flickered to Amelia, then back to him. And in that moment, Seo-jin realized something terrifying. Yura knew exactly who Amelia was. She'd always known. Amelia saw him start to move toward her, saw the woman beside him tighten her grip, saw him stop. Her stomach dropped, but her expression stayed perfectly neutral. Of course, 10 years and he still hesitates. She turned away, slipping into a conversation with her VP of strategy, her laughter light and easy, as if the man across the room didn't exist at all, as if her heart wasn't hammering against her ribs, as if she wasn't already wondering how long she could keep this armor in place. Across the room, Seo-jin watched her disappear into the crowd and knew with bone-deep certainty that he was running out of time. Before we dive in, if you love stories about second chances, powerful women who refuse to settle, and love that demands sacrifice, hit that subscribe button. And can I ask a question? Would you give someone a second chance after 10 years? Also, let me know where you're watching from. It's always great to see how far these beautiful stories travel. Now, let's get into it. 20 minutes later, Amelia stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, champagne in hand, half listening to a tech CEO explain his latest acquisition. She felt him approach before she saw him. That awareness hadn't faded. Not in 10 years. Not ever. "Ms. Brooks." His voice was deeper than she remembered, rougher around the edges. She turned slowly, deliberately keeping her expression pleasant but distant. "Mr. Beck." She tilted her head slightly. "Congratulations on your expansion into the European market. I read about it in the journal." Professional, detached, like he was just another businessman in a room full of them. SEO Jin's jaw tightened. "You still command a room like it owes you something," he said quietly. The tech CEO had already melted away, sensing the shift in atmosphere. Amelia took a measured sip of her champagne. "I learned not to wait for permission, or apologies. I didn't come to apologize." "Good." Her eyes met his, steady and unflinching. "I stopped waiting for one." The silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. CEO Jin took a half step closer, his voice dropping. "Can we talk? Privately? I don't think your fiancé would appreciate that. She's not..." He stopped himself, his expression tightening. "It's complicated." "It always was with you." The words landed like a slap. Amelia set her glass down on a nearby table with exaggerated care. "If you'll excuse me, I have investors to meet." She moved to walk past him. His hand caught her wrist, gentle but deliberate. "Amelia, please." The sound of her name in his mouth after all these years made something crack in her chest. She looked down at his hand, then back up at his face. "Let go." Her voice was soft, deadly. He released her immediately, but didn't step back. "I need 5 minutes," he said. "That's all I'm asking. You had 10 years. You didn't use them." "Because I was a coward." The admission hung in the air between them. Amelia's breath caught, but she recovered quickly. "And what are you now?" "Someone who's trying not to make the same mistake twice." She studied his face, searching for the boy she'd loved and finding only the sharp edges of the man he'd become. "The terrace," she said finally. 2 minutes, not 5. The terrace was empty, the city glittering below them like scattered diamonds. Amelia stood with her arms crossed, her back to the railing, watching him with the kind of careful neutrality that came from years of board meetings and hostile negotiations. Seo Jin closed the door behind them, and for a moment, neither spoke. "Your 2 minutes started 30 seconds ago," Amelia said. He exhaled sharply. "You're not going to make this easy. Why would I?" "Fair point." Seo Jin moved closer, but kept a careful distance. "I didn't know you'd be here tonight. I didn't know about the award or the keynote or that I'd become someone you couldn't ignore." His eyes flashed. "I never ignored you." "No, you just erased me." The words were quiet, but they cut deep. Seo Jin's hands clenched at his sides. "I thought I was protecting you." "From what?" "From my family. From the kind of people who destroy things they can't control." He took a breath. "They threatened your scholarship, your reputation, your future. They said if I didn't end it, they'd make sure you never graduated, never got hired, never." "Stop." Amelia's voice cracked like a whip. She took a step forward, her eyes blazing. "You made that choice for me. You decided what I could handle, what I deserved to know. I was 22 and terrified. So was I." Her voice rose, raw and unguarded. "I was terrified every single day, Seo Jin. Terrified of not being enough, not belonging, not measuring up. But I would have fought for us. I would have fought them, their threats, the whole damn system." "I know. Then why didn't you let me?" The question hung between them, unanswerable. Seo Jin's voice was hoarse when he finally spoke. "Because I couldn't watch them destroy you. And I knew, God, I knew, if you fought them, they'd win. They always win. So you gave up. I let you go so you could survive." Amelia laughed, bitter and broken. "You want credit for that? For breaking my heart so thoroughly I had to rebuild myself from nothing? No, I want..." He stopped, his composure fracturing. I want you to know I never stopped thinking about you. Never stopped wondering if you were okay, if you'd found someone who deserved you, if you'd... I didn't. The admission slipped out before she could stop it. Seo Jin's eyes widened. Amelia's jaw tightened. I didn't find someone else. I found myself. I built a company, made a name, created a life that didn't need anyone's approval, especially not yours. Amelia, your 2 minutes are up. She moved toward the door. I'm not engaged to her. Amelia stopped, her hand on the handle. Yura and I, it's a business arrangement. Our families have been planning this since we were children. It's expected, strategic. Amelia turned slowly. And you just go along with it? I've been going along with everything for 10 years. His voice was raw, doing what's expected, playing the role. But tonight, seeing you up, don't. You have to know. I don't have to know anything. Amelia's voice was steady now, controlled. You want absolution? Forgiveness? Some sign that what we had still matters? Yes. The honesty in his voice nearly undid her. She met his gaze, unflinching. Then earn it. Because love that survives memory isn't enough. It has to survive choice. She opened the door and walked back into the gala, leaving him standing alone on the terrace. Seo Jin stood frozen, her words echoing in his mind. Earn it. He'd spent 10 years living a life that wasn't his, making choices that weren't his, becoming someone he barely recognized. And in 2 minutes, Amelia had made him see exactly what that cowardice had cost him. Everything. Inside, Amelia made it exactly 12 steps before her hands started shaking. She ducked into the ladies' room, gripping the marble counter, forcing herself to breathe. Her reflection stared back at her, composed, elegant, unshakable. A perfect lie, because the truth was 2 minutes with Seo Jin had cracked something she'd spent a decade building. The armor she'd worn so carefully, the walls she'd constructed so meticulously, the certainty that she'd moved on, all of it, fracturing. She splashed cold water on her wrists, a trick she'd learned in her first year of business school when panic attacks threatened to derail her presentations. The door opened behind her. In the mirror, Amelia saw the woman from earlier, Yura. Even more striking up close, her beauty the kind that came from generations of wealth and careful breeding. Miss Brooks. Yura's smile was warm, but her eyes were calculating. I've been hoping to meet you. Amelia straightened, her professional mask sliding back into place. Miss Seo, please, call me Yura. She moved to the mirror, checking her lipstick with the casual confidence of someone who'd never questioned her place in the world. Your keynote was inspiring. Truly. Thank you. I've heard so much about your company. The Korean expansion must be thrilling. There it was. The subtle reminder that Yura knew exactly who Amelia was, what she wanted, what she needed. Amelia met her eyes in the mirror. It's a significant opportunity. Seo Jin's family controls most of the regulatory infrastructure you'd need. Yura's tone was conversational, almost helpful. It's such a complex market to break into, so many obstacles for outsiders. The word outsiders hung in the air, delicate and poisonous. Amelia turned to face her directly. I've built my career on overcoming obstacles. Of course you have. Yura's smile didn't waver. I admire that, but there's a difference between obstacles and impossibilities. Is there? In Korea? Yes. Yura tilted her head slightly. Some doors only open from the inside. Some families only trust their own. And you're telling me this because I think we could help each other. Yura's voice was silk over, steel. Your company is brilliant, innovative, but you need access, connections, the kind of legitimacy that takes generations to build. And in exchange? Yura's smile sharpened. In exchange, you let some things remain uncomplicated. Amelia's pulse quickened, but her expression stayed neutral. I don't complicate things. I solve problems. Sometimes the best solution is knowing when to step back. The threat was wrapped in courtesy, but it was unmistakable. Amelia held Yura's gaze for a long moment, then smiled. Pleasant, professional, and completely empty. "Thank you for the advice. I'll keep it in mind." She walked past Yura, shoulders back, head high. But her mind was racing. Yura hadn't just been making conversation. She'd been issuing a warning. And worse, she'd been right. Amelia's Korean expansion depended on connections she didn't have, infrastructure she couldn't access, political relationships that took decades to build. Without help, she'd be locked out indefinitely. And the only person who could open those doors was the man she'd just walked away from. 3 days later, Amelia sat in her corner office, staring at the contract amendment her legal team had just delivered. "They want what?" she said into the phone. Her attorney's voice was apologetic. "Joint oversight on all major decisions. Beck Industries would have veto power over partnerships, marketing strategies, regional expansion." "Absolutely not. Amelia, without their infrastructure, I know what we need." She pinched the bridge of her nose. "Set up a meeting. I'll handle this directly." She ended the call and stared out at the city skyline. This was exactly what Yura had warned her about. Doors that only opened from the inside. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "Dinner tonight? We need to talk. Business. SJ." She should delete it, should block the number, should do anything except what she did next. "Marcello's, 8 p.m., and it is business." His reply came immediately. "Understood." Marcello's was upscale but not flashy, the kind of place where deals were made over wine and carefully worded proposals. Amelia arrived first, claiming a private booth in the back. Seo Jin appeared at exactly 8 o'clock, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. He slid into the booth across from her, and for a moment they simply looked at each other. "You changed the terms," Amelia said without preamble. "My board did." "Your board answers to you." "Not entirely." Seo Jin's expression was unreadable. "My family still controls 40% of voting shares." "How convenient." A server appeared, poured water, recited specials. They both ordered without looking at the menus. When they were alone again, Seo Jin leaned forward. "I didn't know about the amendments until this morning. When I found out, I pushed back." "Not hard enough." "Amelia, joint oversight means I lose autonomy. Veto power means every decision I make has to run through you, through them." Her voice was controlled, but anger simmered beneath. "I didn't build this company to hand over control to people who think I don't belong. That's not what this is. Then what is it?" Seo Jin was quiet for a moment. "Insurance. They want to make sure their investment is protected. From what? Me? From risk. From the unknown. From..." He stopped himself. "Say it." His jaw tightened. "From someone they don't understand." "You mean someone who doesn't look like them?" "Yes." The honesty was brutal, but at least it was honest. Amelia sat back, studying him. "So what do we do?" "I can push the board to revise the terms, remove the veto power, limit the oversight to financial reporting only. And what does that cost me?" "Nothing." Seo Jin. Her voice was sharp. "What does it cost?" He met her eyes. "It costs me political capital I don't have much of right now. It means going against my family publicly. Again." "You've done that before?" "Once?" His voice was quiet. "The day I walked out of the press conference." Amelia blinked. "What press conference?" "The engagement announcement. Yura and I were supposed to..." He stopped, reading the confusion on her face. "You didn't see it. I've been avoiding anything related to you for 10 years, successfully." Despite everything, his mouth twitched. 3 days ago, I was supposed to announce my engagement to Yura, officially, publicly." Amelia's heart stuttered. "Was supposed to?" "I walked out, told her, told everyone. I couldn't marry someone I didn't love." He leaned forward. "My mother hasn't spoken to me since. 2 board members resigned. 3 major partners are reconsidering their investments." She stared at him. Why would you do that? Because I saw you on that stage and realized I'd spent 10 years living a life that wasn't mine, making choices that weren't mine, becoming someone I didn't recognize. Seo Jin, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking for anything except the chance to prove I'm not that same terrified kid who ran away. The server returned with their meals. Neither of them touched the food. Amelia's mind was racing. He'd walked away from Yura, from his family's approval, from everything that made his life easy. For what? For her? For himself? Did it matter? I need to think, she said finally. Take all the time you need. But my expansion, I'll handle the board. The terms will be revised by Friday. His eyes held hers. No strings, no conditions. Business only. Why? Because it's the right thing to do, and because... He stopped, something vulnerable flickering across his face. Because you deserve to build your empire without anyone's permission, including mine. The words echoed her own keynote speech. Amelia felt something dangerous unfurl in her chest. Hope. After dinner, Seo Jin insisted on walking her to her car. The parking garage was nearly empty, their footsteps echoing off concrete. Thank you, Amelia said when they reached her car, for dinner, for the contract revision. You don't have to thank me for doing the bare minimum. Most people don't even manage that. They stood in the dim light, too close and not close enough. Can I ask you something? Seo Jin said quietly. Depends on the question. Do you ever think about it? Us. What we had. Amelia's breath caught. Every day for the first 3 years, every week for the next 2, every month after that. She met his eyes. Now? Only when I see something that reminds me what it feels like to be that young and that stupid. Was it stupid? Loving me? No. Her voice cracked. Believing you'd choose me was stupid. Amelia? Do you remember the night in the library? The words tumbled out before she could stop them. It was 2 a.m. I'd been studying for 18 hours straight, and you showed up with tea because you said I was rationing coffee. Something shifted in Seo Jin's expression. Jasmine, no sugar. Light cream. Her eyes widened. You remember? I remember everything. He stepped closer. I remember you studied like you were racing someone. I remember the way you laughed when you were too tired to be polite. I remember telling you that one day you'd run the table and everyone would pretend they saw it coming. Amelia's hands trembled. Don't do this. I remember the first time I kissed you, outside the economics building, right after you destroyed Professor Chen's entire theory on market regulation. Seo Jin, I remember thinking I'd never met anyone who burned as bright as you, who wanted things as fiercely, who made me believe I could be better than what my family expected. Stop. But he didn't. I remember the night I ended it, the worst night of my life. I remember the look on your face when I said I couldn't do this anymore, like I'd physically hurt you. His voice broke. I remember going back to my apartment and destroying everything I owned because I couldn't destroy the memory of you. Tears burned behind Amelia's eyes. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked if I think about us. And the answer is yes. Every single day, every single moment. You're the ghost I can't exorcise, Amelia. The standard I measure everything against. The reason I can't settle for convenient or expected or safe. I can't do this. Her voice was barely a whisper. I can't survive losing you twice. Then don't lose me. Let me prove... She kissed him. It wasn't planned, wasn't calculated, wasn't any of the careful, controlled things Amelia Brooks had built her life around. It was desperate and reckless, and 10 years of longing compressed into a single moment. Seo Jin froze for half a second, shocked. Then his hands came up to frame her face, and he kissed her back like he was drowning, and she was air. The world narrowed to this. His mouth on hers, his hands in her hair, the sound of her name breaking from his lips between kisses. Amelia. God, Amelia. She pressed closer, her fingers clutching his jacket, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. This was a mistake. This was inevitable. This was everything. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Seo Jin pressed his forehead to hers. "Tell me this isn't just goodbye," he whispered. Amelia's eyes were closed, her hands still fisted in his jacket. "I don't know what this is." "Then let me." Her phone buzzed, then again and again. The spell shattered. Amelia stepped back, pulling out her phone with shaking hands. 7 notifications, all from her VP of Operations. She opened the first message and felt the world tilt. "Emergency. Call me now." She dialed immediately. "Amelia, thank God." Marcus's voice was tight with panic. "Someone leaked the negotiation details to the press. Every major outlet has it. Your Korean expansion, the partnership with Bayek Industries, all of it." Her blood ran cold. "What?" "It gets worse. They're framing it as a conflict of interest, saying you're leveraging a personal relationship for business advantage. Your board is calling an emergency meeting tomorrow morning." Amelia's eyes met Seo Jin's, horror dawning. "They have photos," Marcus continued, "of you and Bayek. From tonight, the dinner, the parking garage. He didn't have to finish. Amelia knew exactly what photos they had. "I'll handle it," she said, her voice mechanical. "Send me everything." She ended the call. Seo Jin was watching her, concern etched across his face. What happened? This was a mistake. Her voice was hollow. This, us, tonight. All of it. "Amelia, someone leaked our negotiations, and they have photos of us together." She laughed, bitter and broken. "I spent 10 years building credibility, respect, a reputation that couldn't be questioned, and in one night, loving you has destroyed all of it. We'll fix this." "There is no we." She backed toward her car. "There never should have been. Don't do this. I have to." Tears finally spilled over. "Because you were right 10 years ago. They do always win. And I can't lose everything I've built because I was stupid enough to believe things could be different." She got in her car and drove away. In her rearview mirror, she saw Seo Jin standing alone in the parking garage, looking exactly like she felt, shattered. The emergency board meeting was a massacre. Amelia sat at the head of the conference table, spine straight, expression neutral, while her board members dissected her judgment with surgical precision. "These optics are disastrous," Margaret Chen, her lead investor, said bluntly. "Mixing business with personal relationships? This is amateur hour." "There is no personal relationship," Amelia said evenly. "Then explain these." Another board member slid a tablet across the table. Photos. A dozen of them. Her and Seo Jin at dinner, leaning close, intense. In the parking garage, his hands framing her face. The kiss, captured in devastating clarity. Amelia's stomach churned, but her expression never wavered. A mistake. One that won't happen again. A mistake that's cost us 3 potential investors who've now pulled out, citing concerns about your decision-making capabilities. Margaret's voice was ice. And a major partnership that's under scrutiny from every business outlet in the country. The partnership with Bayek Industries is solid. The terms are favorable. The expansion will triple our market value within 18 months. If it happens, if your personal entanglement doesn't tank the whole thing. Margaret leaned forward. "We need damage control. Now." "I'm handling it." "Are you?" "Because from where I'm sitting, you're letting emotions compromise a multi-million-dollar deal." The words hit like a slap, because they were true. Amelia had spent 10 years being disciplined, strategic, untouchable. One night with Seo Jin and she jeopardized everything. "I'll issue a statement," Amelia said quietly, "clarifying that my relationship with Mr. Beck is strictly professional. I'll step back from direct negotiations and let Marcus handle the partnership details. That's not enough." "Then what do you want?" Margaret's expression was sympathetic but firm. "Distance. Complete separation from Bayek Industries until this dies down. We'll find another way into the Korean market." "There is no other way. not one that doesn't cost us 2 years and $50 million in infrastructure development. Then we wait 2 years. Margaret, this company is bigger than one expansion, Amelia, bigger than one partnership, and definitely bigger than whatever history you have with Baek Seo-jin. She stood. Get your priorities straight, or we'll find someone who can. The threat hung in the air, clear and unmistakable. The board filed out, leaving Amelia alone in the conference room. She stared at the photos still displayed on the tablet, evidence of her greatest weakness, loving someone who'd already proven he'd choose everything else over her. Her phone buzzed, a text from Seo-jin. I heard about the board meeting. I'm so sorry. Let me help. She deleted it without responding. That afternoon, Yura requested a meeting. They met at an upscale cafe in the financial district, all glass and chrome and people who looked like they'd never struggled a day in their lives. Yura was already seated when Amelia arrived, perfectly composed in cream silk and pearls. Thank you for coming, Yura said as Amelia sat. I know this must be difficult. Let's skip the pleasantries. You leaked the photos. To Amelia's surprise, Yura didn't deny it. I did. She stirred her tea calmly. I want you to understand. I don't blame you. Seo-jin is easy to fall for. That's always been his problem. Is there a point to this? Yes. Yura set down her spoon, meeting Amelia's eyes. I want you to know what you're up against, because I don't think you understand the reality of this situation. Enlighten me. You're brilliant, driven. You've built something extraordinary from nothing. I genuinely admire that. Yura's smile was pleasant, but her eyes were calculating. But here's what you're missing. I survived this. You don't. Amelia's jaw tightened. I have family money, political connections, a name that opens doors across 3 continents. If this relationship with Seo-jin implodes, and it will, I'll be fine. My reputation will recover. My family's business will continue. Yura leaned forward slightly. What do you have? A company you built from nothing that's now tied to a man who left you once already. He left because your family threatened to destroy my future. And they will again. The difference is, this time you have something to lose. Yura's voice was soft, almost kind. Your company, your reputation, your life's work. Is he worth all of that? Amelia wanted to say yes, wanted to believe love conquered everything. But she'd learned the hard way that love didn't pay investors back, didn't secure market access, didn't protect what you'd spent a decade building. Here's what I'm offering, Yura continued. Walk away now. Issue a statement saying the relationship was a brief lapse in judgment, nothing more. Focus on your business. And in exchange? In exchange, I'll ensure your Korean expansion happens. Better terms than what Seo-jin was offering. No strings attached, no family interference, just business. It was a lifeline, a way out of the mess she'd created. All she had to do was let go of Seo-jin. Again. Why would you help me? Amelia asked quietly. Because I want this resolved cleanly. Seo-jin is mine, by family arrangement, by expectation, by every practical measure that matters in our world. But he's stubborn, sentimental. He needs to see for himself that choosing you only hurts you. Yura's expression was almost pitying. Let him see you walk away. Let him understand that love isn't enough. Then maybe he'll finally accept his responsibilities. Amelia stared at the woman across from her, poised, strategic, absolutely certain she'd win. And God help her, Yura was probably right. Loving Seo-jin had already cost Amelia her board's confidence, 3 investors, and nearly her company. How much more was she willing to lose? I need to think about it, Amelia said finally. Of course, but don't take too long. Opportunities like this don't wait. Yura stood gracefully. For what it's worth, I do hope you choose wisely. You've worked too hard to let this destroy you. She left and Amelia sat alone, staring at her reflection in the polished table. 10 years ago, she'd lost Seo-jin and nearly lost herself. She'd rebuilt, survived, thrived. Could she really risk it all again? That evening, Seo Jin showed up at her apartment. Amelia opened the door, exhausted and emotionally raw, and found him standing in the hallway looking equally wrecked. "We need to talk," he said. "There's nothing to say." "Amelia, please." "Did you know?" The question came out sharper than she intended. "Did you know Yura would leak those photos?" "What? No, I would never." "But you know her. You know how your world works. You knew this would happen." Seo Jin's expression tightened. "I knew there'd be consequences. I didn't know she'd go this far." "This far?" "Seo Jin, she offered me a deal today. My expansion in exchange for walking away from you. Clean, simple, beneficial to everyone." His face went pale. "What did you say?" "I said I'd think about it." "You can't seriously be considering—" "Why not?" Amelia's voice rose, all the frustration and fear and exhaustion of the past 24 hours spilling over. "Why shouldn't I take the smart play? The safe play? The one that doesn't require me to sacrifice everything I've built?" "Because you love me." The words hung between them, devastating in their simplicity. "Love isn't enough," Amelia whispered. "You taught me that 10 years ago." "I was wrong. Were you?" She stepped closer, her eyes blazing. "Because right now, loving you is costing me everything. My board doesn't trust me. My investors are pulling out. My reputation, the one thing I've guarded more carefully than anything, is being shredded in every business publication in the country. We can fix this." "How? By hiding? By pretending we don't have a past? By letting your family dictate our future?" She shook her head. "I won't be loved in secret, Seo Jin. I won't be chosen only when it's convenient. And I sure as hell won't be the reason you lose everything just so we can both end up destroyed." "Then what do you want me to do?" "I want you to be honest, really honest." Her voice cracked. "Are you going to choose me? Not just today, not just in this moment, but every single day when it's hard and costly, and your family is cutting you off and the world is telling you you're making a mistake." Seo Jin reached for her, but she stepped back. "Because I've already lived through you choosing them once, and I won't survive it again." "I choose you." His voice was raw, desperate. "I'm choosing you right now." "For how long? Until the next crisis? Until your mother threatens to disown you completely? Until the financial pressure becomes too much?" Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I need more than good intentions, Seo Jin. I need a guarantee you can't give me." "There are no guarantees. That's not how love works." "Then maybe love isn't enough." The words shattered something between them. Seo Jin's jaw clenched, his own eyes bright with unshed tears. "So that's it? You're just giving up?" "I'm protecting what I've built, what I've earned, what I've fought for." Amelia's voice steadied, even as her heart broke. "I choose me. I always should have." She started to close the door. Seo Jin's hand caught it. "I'm not giving up on us." "Then prove it." Amelia met his eyes one last time. "Prove that you can choose me when it costs you everything. Because right now, all I see is the same man who walked away before." She closed the door, stood with her back against it, listening to his footsteps fade down the hallway, and finally let herself break. 3 days passed. Amelia threw herself into damage control, issued careful statements, rebuilt investor confidence, put the Korean expansion on indefinite hold, went back to being the controlled, strategic, untouchable woman everyone expected. The armor was back in place, but it felt heavier now. On the 4th day, her assistant buzzed her office. "Ms. Brooks, there's a press conference happening right now. Beck Industries. I think you should see this." Amelia pulled up the live stream, her heart hammering. The screen showed a press room packed with reporters, and at the center, standing at a podium, was Seo Jin. Seo Jin stood at the podium, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. He looked tired, determined, unshakable. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice steady and clear. "I'm here to make an announcement that my family won't support, but I hope you will." Amelia's breath caught. The camera panned slightly, showing Yura seated in the front row, her expression perfectly neutral. Seo Jin turned to face her directly. Yura, you deserve someone who chooses you without hesitation. That's not me. It never was. I'm sorry for the time I wasted, yours and mine, pretending otherwise. A murmur rippled through the press room. Yura's composure never cracked, but something flickered in her eyes. Seo Jin turned back to the cameras. 10 years ago, I made a choice out of fear. I let the people I loved most decide my life. I walked away from the woman I loved because I was told it was the right thing to do, the responsible thing, the expected thing. Amelia's hands trembled. I was 22 and terrified of disappointing my family, of losing their approval, of being cut off from everything I'd been raised to believe mattered. His voice roughened. So I destroyed the best thing in my life, and I've spent every day since trying to convince myself it was worth it. He paused, his eyes finding the camera, as if he could see through it to wherever Amelia was watching. It wasn't. Nothing was worth losing her. Tears burned down Amelia's cheeks. Today, I'm choosing differently. I'm stepping down from my family's foundation. I'm severing ties with any business venture that requires me to compromise my integrity or the people I love. I'm building something new, on my terms, with my values, answerable only to myself and the partners I choose. The press room erupted with questions. Seo Jin held up a hand. My family will issue a statement, I'm sure. They'll say I'm reckless, ungrateful, throwing away my legacy, and maybe I am. His voice was calm, certain. But I'd rather build something honest from nothing than inherit an empire built on fear and control. He stepped back from the podium. The camera followed him as he walked past Yura without a glance, past his family's attorneys, past everyone who represented the life he was leaving behind, and walked out. The live stream ended. Amelia sat frozen in her office chair, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. He'd done it. He'd actually done it? Lost his family, his position, his safety net. For what? For the chance to prove he was different this time? For her? Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I meant every word, no expectations, no pressure. Just wanted you to know I'm finally choosing the life I should have chosen 10 years ago. Whether that includes you or not is your decision. You deserve nothing less than everything. S.J. Amelia read it 3 times, then stood abruptly, grabbed her coat, and walked out of her office. Her assistant called after her. Ms. Brooks, your 3 o'clock? Cancel it. Cancel everything. She drove across the city, her mind racing, her heart louder than logic. This was reckless. This was impulsive. This was everything she'd spent 10 years avoiding. But maybe, just maybe, some things were worth the risk. She found him at his apartment building, sitting on the front steps like he'd been waiting. He stood when he saw her, shock and hope warring across his face. Amelia. She closed the distance between them in 3 strides. You're an idiot, she said, her voice shaking. I know. You just blew up your entire life on national television. I know. Your family is going to destroy you. Let them try. His eyes held hers, steady and sure. I'm done living for their approval. Amelia's breath hitched. What if this doesn't work? What if we try and it falls apart and we both end up... Then at least we tried. Seo Jin stepped closer, his voice soft but certain. I spent 10 years regretting the choice I made. I won't spend another 10 regretting the choice I didn't make. I'm terrified, she whispered. So am I. I can't promise this will be easy. I don't want easy. I want you. He cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing away a tear. I want late nights strategizing expansions. I want arguments about market projections. I want to watch you conquer rooms full of people who underestimated you. I want every difficult, complicated, beautiful moment of building a life together. As equals, Amelia said, her voice firm even through tears. As partners. No secrets. No choosing between me and everything else. As equals. Always. His forehead touched hers. I love you, Amelia Brooks. I loved you 10 years ago. I love you now. And I'll love you every day after this, whether it's convenient or not. I love you too." The words came easier than she expected. God help me, I never stopped. He kissed her then, slow and deep and full of promise. This wasn't the desperate kiss in the parking garage. This was a beginning, a choice made in full daylight, with eyes wide open, knowing exactly what it would cost and choosing it anyway. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Amelia managed a watery laugh. "We're really doing this?" "Unless you've changed your mind in the last 30 seconds. "I haven't." She laced her fingers through his. "But I need you to hear me. This won't be a fairy tale. Your family will fight us. My board will question my judgment. The press will tear us apart looking for scandal. I know. And we'll fight. About work, about boundaries, about whose turn it is to compromise. I'm counting on it." She smiled despite herself. "You're insufferable. You love it. I really do." They stood there on the steps, the city moving around them, and for the first time in 10 years, the future didn't feel like something to survive. It felt like something to build together. 6 months later, Amelia stood in her newly expanded Seoul office, overlooking the city skyline. The Korean expansion had happened, not through Seo-jin's family connections, but through strategic partnerships she'd built herself. It had taken longer, cost more, required twice the work, but it was hers, entirely, completely hers. Seo-jin appeared in the doorway, 2 cups of tea in hand. "Jasmine, no sugar, light cream," he said, offering her one. She accepted it with a smile. "You're still tracking my beverage preferences." "Some things don't change." He moved to stand beside her, looking out at the view. "How's the board handling the quarterly numbers?" "Thrilled, shocked, possibly convinced I'm some kind of business witch." She leaned into his side. "Margaret actually apologized for doubting me. As she should have." "Your mother's still not returning your calls?" His jaw tightened slightly. "No, but my sister reached out last week. Small steps." Amelia squeezed his hand. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I made my choice. I'd make it again." He turned to face her fully. "Every single time." "Even when I'm impossible?" "Especially then." She laughed, and he kissed her. Casual, comfortable. The kind of kiss that came from knowing someone completely and choosing them anyway. "I have to fly back to New York tomorrow," Amelia said. "Meeting with new investors." "I know, I'm coming with you, if that's okay." "More than okay," she hesitated. "Seo-jin?" "Thank you. For choosing me. For choosing us. Even when it cost you everything." He cupped her face gently. "You were always worth everything." And finally, she believed him. Because love that survived memory wasn't enough. But love that survived choice, love that chose itself every single day, in full light, with eyes wide open, that was everything. They stood together watching the sun set over Seoul, hands intertwined. 2 people who'd lost each other, found each other, and chose each other. Not because it was easy, but because some things were worth fighting for. And they'd fight for this, for each other, every single day, together, always. So here's my question for you. If someone broke your heart 10 years ago, could you ever give them a second chance? Or are some betrayals unforgivable? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your stories. And if you loved this journey with Amelia and Seo-jin, smash that like button. Share this with someone who believes